Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am your planetary defense commander, Star-Lord New Thor 7. And since we have a giant sunspot on the sun that is Earth-facing, that has been freaking out and popping off filaments, I was setting up to do a video on that subject and the big storm that's going to hit Michigan in like 4 to 6 hours. But my computer got zapped again. I don't know if you can see that. And so, I don't know, I think it's cute that, the more the sun begins to wake up, the more the gang who sold y'all a grand solar minimum for the last 5 years are freaking out. And so now we have a giant sunspot facing Earth. It is popping off magnetic filaments. Multiples. It is definitely showing activity. It is definitely showing that the sun is waking up, and that it looks like anyone who put all their eggs in a grand solar minimum basket are totally wrong. Like, it doesn't look like the mini ice age panned out, bro. It doesn't look like the 60 years of minimal solar activity is gonna pan out, bro. It looks like all your bets for 5 years are turds, bro. And so, I get that you guys are sore losers, and I get that you guys, like our president, never admit a mistake. Like, you may say, hey, we're in a grand solar minimum, or hey, this is just like the flu. And if the stats prove you to be absolutely totally wrong, you're never going to admit it. You're going to start calling out bumper stickers like mini ice age, grand solar minimum, agenda 2030, event 201, QAnon, trust the plan. It's like, you guys only go as deep as a bumper sticker. And it's like a bumper sticker hive mind. So you had like everybody on the same team with the exact same opinions saying, we know exactly what the sun is going to do in the future. We are super omnipresent. And, it's like that whole house of cards is totally tumbling down, and all your baskets that you put all your eggs in are catching on fire. And I think it's hilarious. I do. I don't mean to be an asshole, but you guys have been sore losers the whole time. And you guys trying to like corner the market on the truth community just so you could sell a politician has been the most like dumb, cowardly thing you could ever think of. So, I don't know, man. I understand that you guys are mad at me because like I'm the only person in the truth community who is saying, hey, we are not in a grand solar minimum. We've never been in a grand solar minimum. We're not in a mini ice age. We've never been in a fucking mini ice age. And like, you guys were talking about Agenda 2030 5 years ago. So how come Trump didn't get in there and then like stop Agenda 2030? So to say now that like, oh, it's part of Agenda 2030 plan, does that mean that Trump was part of Agenda 2030 the whole time? And that Trump is doing what he can to help the bad guys depopulate? Oh, man. And so, I don't know. Like I said, now all the coronavirus numbers are going up. Hospitalizations are going up. Deaths are rising again. Active cases are going way up. And so Ben Davidson, Suspicious Observers, is still having his big Observing the Frontier Con in Colorado in August. And so I definitely think everybody who thinks that it is the flu, please go down to Colorado and give Ben a hug. Give everybody on the Agenda 2030 panel a hug and raise your fist. And, I'm going to do my best to do what I do, which is say that the sun acts weird. Nobody knows what the sun is. There's no master of the sun. And you shouldn't trust politicians, man. It's been my stance for 7.5 years. And so anyone who tried to get you to trust a politician is a well-paid fool. And I'm very glad that I have been surrounded by a gang of hive-minded bumper sticker boys and I haven't fallen. I have not, you guys didn't get me. That is so great. And so, like, over time, people have seen that, hey, my whole stance of don't trust Barack, don't trust Trump, don't trust politicians has paid off. It shows that, like, I'm an honest guy with integrity, which is, and a sense of humor. And I also say that, like, 97% of the people that have been trying to sell you a grand solar minimum turd, none of them have a sense of humor. Not a single one of them. And as my grandmother was used to say, never trust anyone without a sense of humor. So it's like, you know, if your tagline is no fear, but Agenda 2030, that's an oxymoron. And like, God, your team gets so jealous. And I don't even watch what you guys do. Like, nobody does what I do. So I don't have to worry about what other people are doing or saying, because as long as I stay on target and I give people good, honest truth, then it works out for me. I'm not trying to corner any markets. And honestly, really bad takes that don't hold up over time take care of themselves. And I'll say it again. You know, Trump was like, hey, we have 15 cases of COVID. Soon we're going to have 0. That was totally wrong. But anyway, like, I mean, you know, so, and the guys who are been selling grand solar minimum forever, like, they're not really talking about the sun activity much. And so the sun is waking up. You can't stop it. I have been predicting that it would really start to show it's waking up in July. It is 10 days into June, and we have a major sunspot that is earth facing that is showing activity. So the thing I think that would really accentuate my point is if we get an X-class solar flare in July, which I think we got a good shot at. We've had an M-class flare already, multiple B-class flares. And so if the sun is a battle of wills, where those who want it to stay in a solar minimum society fall apart zone for 60 years, or those like me who want the sun to wake up and people to start getting along and the good times to return, if that's a battle of wills, then I'm going to win, buddy. Because, you know, it's the universe balances things out very well. And we've gone through a very dark period where everybody fought. It's been total divide and conquer. And everybody's been selling fear. You know, like literally the truth community has been selling everybody to fear of vaccine that doesn't even exist. It's like me worrying about having my girlfriend cheat on me if I don't even have a girlfriend. You know? Like, you gotta take things in perspective. And so, you know, like I said, the reason I'm making this video is because I went to make a video on the storms and the solar activity that's happening now, and then they, you know, Team Chumpy, who I've been battling with for like 31 months, is always like, Neil, don't tell people about the solar activity. Don't tell people about the oppressive heat. You know? And you guys can do an about face. The sooner that you tell people like, hey, we were wrong about the solar minimum, the more they will respect you. You know, I made a mistake last hurricane season. I tried to call hurricanes from 6 months out, location and intensity. I got them wrong. And I was like, hey guys, I messed up. I'm sorry. And for the most part, everybody was super cool. And I was humbled by A, making a major mistake, and then B, how cool everybody was when I said, hey, I was wrong. I'm human. And so, I don't know, I've been recommending that you guys figure out a way to admit that you're wrong, because definitely a year from today, people are going to realize even the most lowest hanging fruit out there is going to realize, hey, this ain't no grand solar minimum. You know? These guys were not solar geniuses. And I remind people again that Ben Davidson, who spends so much of his time trying to convince everybody that he's like the smartest man on the planet, he made one video on the coronavirus, and that was in like the middle of May, where I covered it nonstop from January 30th up until now. And I'm telling you, lockdowns are coming back. It is real. You had the head of the EOCD on today saying that GDP is going down 7% here in the United States, 9% in Europe, and that right now all nations need to be fighting the plague and the pandemic together. And my stance has been, look, the money guys have been trying to trick Republicans not to give a crap about the plague, and now they've tricked Democrats not to give a crap about the plague, where I, Thor of Thor News, since January 30th, have been telling you, hey, it is real. And at this point, if you don't believe in it, I don't care. It's like if someone doesn't believe in Jesus Christ, I cannot make you believe in Jesus Christ, and it's not my job to make you believe in Jesus Christ. Like, I know that Jesus does great things for me, and that Jesus protected me, and that it is through the strength of Christ, God, and the Holy Spirit that I am still here bringing you the truth with the sense of humor every day. So you don't have to believe in the plague, man, but the people who listen to me, I have stayed on message. My message has been accurate, and that we had, and it was like, okay, it was like I tried to tell you guys before that no, Trump is not colluding with Russia. Trump was colluding with, it was legal, so it's not collusion. Trump was colluding with Google. Trump was colluding with Facebook. Trump was colluding with Twitter. Trump was colluding with all the people that he met with 5 days after he won the election. He sat down with Jeff Bezos. He sat down with the head dudes of Silicon Valley, and they were all like, yay, we won. So Trump did not collude with Russia. He worked with Silicon Valley, and there were even reports that said Google was sending everybody to Alex Jones up into the election, that like the number one recommendation that like it would always, your next video would be something that was either Fox News or Alex Jones. It was admitted, nobody ever talked about it. It was the truth. And so we know that elections are like fair play is out the window. And so I don't consider collusion. What I'm saying is that right now we are in kind of a battle as American jets intercepted 4 Russian bombers off Alaska last night, where Russia has 147 million people. They have 6,000 COVID deaths. America has 370 million people. We have 114,000 COVID deaths. Putin has been in office since 1999. Trump has been in office since 2016. And so that I have been saying that I don't think Putin is really happy with the United States. I don't think Putin, there's no collusion going on with Russia and the U.S. And that at this point, Putin is probably upset that the United States of America, Democrat and Republican, response to the plague has been so bullshit, half-assed, horrible. You don't have to believe me. You can, like I said, everybody in Grand Solar Minimum is telling you that Trump is the greatest fucking president of all time. That he is like second to Jesus, and that is not true, dude. He's the second worst president we've ever had. And the only thing he does is call people names and take credit for everything. And so I gotta admit, I'm a hard worker. You know, I have kept my heart in the right place. And so that as the sun is starting to wake up, the people who've spent so much time and energy in a hive mind bumper sticker gang are falling apart. And so they definitely don't want me around reminding y'all that, hey, all the people who bet on a Grand Solar Minimum looks like they're totally fucking wrong. The same guys bet on a QAnon mass arrests. The same guys were saying for 3.7 years, QAnon is going to arrest all these people. Never happened. You've only got 147 days left for the thing you promised people for 3.7 years to happen. It's probably not going to happen, bro. Grand solar minimum, probably not going to happen. Mini ice age, we can cross that off the list. You know what I'm saying? Like we're definitely not in a mini ice age. And so you had a giant team who seemed extremely well funded and never had any problems with hackers. Like they're wrong on like every single thing they bet on turns out to be wrong. Like I said, it was like, and if you didn't join Grand Solar Minimum, it was like you got gang stalked, hacked, messed with. And I thank Asteroid Fight Club. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because there's no way I would have made it through the last 3 years. And these are the same fucking cowards who came after me when my stepdad died. Like right after he died, they poured it on and were talking shit. And so karma for them is going to be fucking ugly. And some of those guys have children. I cannot even imagine being that big of a fucking douchebag and a dad. But hey, it happened, man. It fucking happened. And so, thank you to Asteroid Fight Club. Y'all have taken great care of me and have saved me every time. And B, Grand Solar Minimum turds, I have loved this battle we've been having for 2.5 years. To have just me surrounded by a bunch of hive mind bumper sticker cowards throwing everything at me but the kitchen sink from the digital world, and me to still be standing. I love it, man. I love it. It's great. And the sun is starting to wake up. And so I love making videos about solar activity because nobody really understands the sun. Nobody knows what the sun is going to do next. We do know that the weirder the sun gets, the weirder the weather gets. And so an active sun is a very fun time for me. I started my YouTube channel during a rising solar maximum. And that was when I came up with the sun was it a double peaked solar minimal maximum. And I even came out with the thing like the sun's acting really weird, and then like a week later NASA was like, the sun's acting really weird, it's a double peak maximum. Nobody knows what the sun is going to do, man. And so it's like I don't know, it's exciting that like you guys have a chance to be cool guys or do an about face, but that's not going to happen. Just like Trump is never going to admit that he makes mistakes. And I said that, like, I look back, like, my pawpaw died 3 solar minimums ago. My dad died at the solar minimum after that. My stepdad died in this solar minimum. And so horrible times, at least for me, come during solar minimums. But when the sun wakes up, then my life gets better. And so I have been hanging on by my fingernails for this time. I'm pretty sure that my life will be pretty dang great in 2025. And honestly, for me, the year my stepdad died, because he was one of my heroes and helped raise me and was a great dude and one of the coolest men you will ever meet. Honest. So 2018 was super hard for me. 2020, in comparison, for me is easier. Even though the world is falling apart, I still maintain faith that this is part of the process, that we're watching all the old systems crumble. Capitalism, socialism, communism, because we need a new system. And people are like, we can't have a new system because that's what the devil wants. And well, like I said, that in supposedly the beast system, we're governed by a world government. But to avoid that devil situation, we should transition to a team Earth a one family system, to where Earth is a family not governed by some tyrannical government. It can be done. We write our future. We are the movers and the shakers. And that's why I'm on the team of people who says that the devil will not win, that we have 1,000 years of peace ahead of us, and that we will make it to the promised land. I'm not here selling people Agenda 2030. And the people who are always selling Agenda 2030, it's like they've been handing out the brochures of like, this is how the bad guys are going to take over for 5 years, 7 years. So how else do you get that information if you're not on the bad guys team? You know, usually if like someone is selling a movement, they're part of that movement. And so that's how they know all the ins and outs of what the bad guys are going to try and do. It's called controlled opposition. And I think you guys know I'm not a bad guy. Oh, the other day in a email I got, someone said that my channel may be scripted, and thank you for that compliment. To think, and it was like at some point in time, someone said that like I had a giant team behind me. No, dude, I am one man, one guy who had great family, great teachers, great mentors, great enemies, and so that's how I got this way. But I am one man, dude. I am fiercely independent. That I've never really worried about what people think of me. I just do me the best I can. And yes, that was an inside masturbation joke. That I don't know. And technically, I've always been pretty popular wherever I go. It's the whole sense of humor thing. If you can make people laugh, they usually end up liking you. That is a thing that I've found in my life. That if I can make someone laugh really hard 3 times, they're usually like, hey, this guy's pretty cool. So that's always been my strategy. Because I like good times. I like laughter. I like good conversation. I like good dialogue. And so, you know, I get it that for the last 5 years, selling Doom bumper stickers has been a lucrative business. But those days are over, man. Seasons change. And I'm a very forgiving guy. And so all you gotta do is be like, hey, I'm sorry, we'll stop being assholes. And then I will flip and be cool to you guys. I mean, there is a lot of good information in the truth community that has been selling a grand solar minimum. We are in a deep minimum, but it's not a grand. And it's almost over. We're definitely not going into 60 years of like minimal none solar activity. You can already see that now. I knew that. I was having a bad Christmas. We had 2 sunspots show up on Christmas Day. One was the old cycle, one was the new cycle. And that was like God's signal to me that it was going to be okay. And so the 2 things that made my bad Christmas great was when Eddie Murphy got up with Chris Rock, Tracy Morgan, Kenan Thompson, and Dave Chappelle, and the 2 sunspots. That was the light at the end of the tunnel. And that was when I knew that the whole grand solar minimum turd, you couldn't polish it. And so, man, once again, I offer the olive branch, you know? So it's crazy, yo. It's a crazy world. But, you know, I'm a Sagittarius, so I was like born blessed and born lucky. And though I don't show it a lot, I'm a pretty humble guy. And that's why I appreciate everybody, even my haters. I mean, if you go back and look at my videos from 2013, 2014, I'm so much cooler now. It is through adversity and challenges and obstacles that we become better men and better women. It is by overcoming that which tries to oppress us that we find our true strength. And we learn to appreciate that which we have. And so, like, even though the world is falling apart, I have been honored that I've spent the last 7.5 years teaching everybody about all the subjects that matter. I've stayed away from politics, man, because every monkey out there is talking about bread. They're talking out of a red butt or they're talking out of a blue butt, and none of that information fucking matters. So, like, the only thing that matters is, like, the Federal Reserve, the big banks, volcanoes, petroleum, comets, asteroids, war, technology. Like, politics is just bullshit, man. Like, it's literally just gossip. And they killed rock and roll so they could get y'all to talk about politics the whole time. I mean, I've tried to make that point 100 times that, like, they killed rock and roll because it really represented the masculine spirit, the fighting, rebellious, have your own opinion, don't conform spirit. It's why they got rid of rock and roll, bro, so that everyone would join Team Blue or Team Red, and that the people who tried to be individuals would just get trampled on. And well, though I've been trampled on over the last 5 years, I am still standing. Technically, I'm sitting down at the moment. So like I said, I'm offering an olive branch to the grand solar minimum turds. Like, the closer we get to July, the summer, and December, the sun is going to be waking up. And we have a giant event with Jupiter and Saturn coming together in the sky that we can see. And in like 2 weeks, all the planets will be on the same side of the sun. There is so much science. There's so much astronomy. There's so much happening in the world right now. And we have such a need to design and build infrastructure for the future. Not only for the roads, the cities, and the weather and the climate, but for our own social structures. That the next year and a half, we're going to be dealing with this plague. I mean, it's literally what the head of the Federal Reserve came out today saying, we're worried about the second wave. The head of like the ECB, like everybody's like saying, hey, we have no plan. And South America's getting crushed. Brazil, Mexico, that the plague hurts the most vulnerable people the most, whether it be economically or health-wise. And so, like, if you are a Christian spirit, if you are a good human, if you're an American spirit, like, this is the time we got to wake up and recognize that the old petrocentric war and deception and petroleum way is not going to cut it anymore. So I love y'all. And I'm going to do what I do. And, like I said, since 2013, I've gotten hundreds of death threats. And I'm still here, man. I'm still here, bro. So smoke them if you got them. And the leader of Grand Solar Minimum is no deeper or smarter than Ben Shapiro. It's like everybody became Alex Jones light. Except without the comedic factor. It's like you took the funny camp out of Alex Jones when you carbon copied him. It's and you worshipped a politician for 3.6 years. How dumb was that? You literally were like, Trump is our Jesus. Trump's going to fight the New World Order. Trump's going to fight Agenda 2030. Trump's going to fight Silicon Valley. Trump's going to fight Wall Street. That didn't turn out so hot, man. That guy loves Wall Street the same way I love a good blowjob. You know? Okay, that was a bad analogy. I apologize for that analogy. So yeah, I don't know. I don't imagine you guys are gonna change your game. I don't imagine you're gonna adapt. I bet we could have six sunspots on the sun in 2022, and you guys would be like, it's a grand solar minimum. It's exactly what we told you. You know, it's like we're gonna have a super hot summer, mini ice age. And that is why I didn't give a shit about views or subscriber numbers or likes. I never went after low-hanging fruit, bro. And that's why I'm proud of Asteroid Fight Club, because the majority of the people are really smart, really cool, and have a sense of humor. I never went after people who didn't have a sense of humor. Never. I never went after the I mean, if you had watched Alex Jones live and you looked at his chat section, it was disgusting. Like, it was one of the biggest filth. I mean, it was like the N-word every 8 posts. Like, it was the people I would never want to be associated with in any way. And those are the people y'all went after. It's like right today, you know, President Trump's hugging the Confederate flag like, you'll never take the Confederate flag from me. My dad was in the Ku Klux Klan, and you'll never take the Confederate flag from me. Confederates are winners. You know, like, that's your boy. That's your boy. And so, hey, repent now, bro. Come to Jesus. And I love you guys, and I thank you for making me better. And I love everyone. Everybody stay cool. I will talk to you guys in the future.